Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to crack the code on one of the most important skills for any React developer, unit testing. We're going to strip away the complexity and show you just how straightforward it can be.
So let me just ask you this. You've just built a brand new component, you've clicked around a bit in the browser, everything seems fine, but does your code really work? Like, are you absolutely sure?
Because here's the thing, and this quote from our source just nails it. We, as developers, we test our code in the way we expect it to be used. But once it's out there in the real world, users will do things you never even dreamed of. And that, right there, is where the bugs start crawling out. So what's the solution? How do we defend our code against all those unexpected clicks and inputs? Well, that brings us right to our first big topic, why we even bother with testing in the first place. The best way to think about unit testing is like this. It's a safety net. It's an automated guard that you build around your code to catch bugs before they ever escape to your users. It saves you from those late-night panic messages and angry support tickets. It's all about being proactive, not reactive. Okay, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. We're going to walk through building our very first test for a really simple counter component. And you'll see, I promise, it's not nearly as intimidating as it sounds. First things first, the way this usually works is you create a test file right alongside the component it's testing. So if you have counter.js, you'll make a counter.test.js. It's a simple convention, but it keeps everything super organized and easy to find. Now let's break down the basic recipe for pretty much any test you'll write. It's really just four main ingredients. You use describe to wrap up all the tests for one component, then each individual thing you want to test gets its own it block. Inside that, you render the component, and finally, you expect something to be true. Describe, it, render, expect. That's the core pattern, again and again. So, for our first test, we're going to keep it super simple. We have just one question to answer. When our counter component first shows up, does it display the right starting number? Let's say 0. That's it. To kick things off, we use the render function from a tool called React Testing Library. Think of this as the starting gun for our test. It doesn't open a real browser. Instead, it creates this little virtual version of our component that we can play with and inspect, all within our test environment. Okay, so our component is now living in this virtual space. What's next? Well, we need a way to actually find things inside of it, like a specific button or a piece of text. And this whole process is called querying. React Testing Library gives us a few different ways to do this. You've got getByRole, which is awesome for finding things like buttons or headings. You've got getByText for finding, specific text. But for our counter's number, which is going to change all the time, we need something a little more reliable. And that's where getByTestID becomes our best friend. See, since the text of our counter is dynamic, it could be 0, then 1, then 10, we can't really count on finding it by its text. So instead, we add a simple data-test-ID attribute in our HTML, which gives our test a permanent, stable hook to grab onto, no matter what number is showing. Now, this is a super important point, a real aha moment for a lot of people. You'll see these functions that start with get and others that start with query. Here's the difference. Use get when you are absolutely positive the element should be on the page. If it's not found, your test fails immediately, which is exactly what you want. You use query, on the other hand, when you're testing to make sure an element is not there. And here is where all those pieces snap together. First, we use our getByTestID to grab the little element that shows the count. Then comes the moment of truth, the assertion. We expect that element's text content to be the string 0. This is the line that determines if our test passes or fails. But hey, watch out for this classic trap. The .text content of any element in the DOM is always a string. So if you try to compare it to the number 0 instead of the string 0, your test is gonna fail. It's a tiny, subtle bug, but it's exactly the kind of thing that unit tests are amazing at catching for you. All right, testing the initial state is great, but that's only half the story. The real magic of testing happens when we start simulating what a user would actually do. So now for the fun part, simulating clicks. Yep, you heard that right. We are literally going to write a test that acts like a person, finds a button on the screen and clicks it. This is how we prove that our component's features actually work. And the tool that lets us do this is called FireEvent. You can think of it as our little robot user. It's a part of React Testing Library that can do anything a real user can. Click buttons, type into forms, you name it. It's what brings our components to life inside our tests.
And you know what? The pattern for testing an interaction is wonderfully simple, and you'll use it over and over. Step 1, find the element you want to interact with. Step 2, fire an event on it, like a click. Step 3, check that the component updated the way you expected. Find, fire, check. That's the mantra.
And here's exactly what that looks like in the code. We grab the button using getByRole, then we use fireEvent.click on it, and finally, we find our count display again and assert that its text content is now the string 1. It's simple, it's readable, and it's incredibly powerful. So we've written a few tests, and yeah, it might feel like a little extra work up front. But let's just zoom out for a second and talk about why we're doing this, what the real payoff is.
I absolutely love the honesty in this quote. Let's be real, nobody wakes up in the morning excited to write tests. It can feel like a chore. But the creator here admits they are necessary. That little bit of work you do now is going to save you a massive headache later on.
And this right here, this is what you get for your effort. A full suite of tests that verifies every single feature of your component. This checklist isn't just a list, it's a certificate of confidence. Now you can go back and change this component or add to it, knowing that if you accidentally break something, this safety net will catch you instantly. So I'll leave you with this one last thought. The goal of testing isn't just to write more code. The goal is to change the way you think. So the next time you write a new feature, ask yourself this question. What bug will your next test prevent? Thanks for tuning in.